2 people were killed and 12 others were injured in a shooting in Alabama. The shooting happened last night around 11:30 in downtown Montgomery.
Last night at 11:31, our officers responded to reports of shootings that they could hear.
They called it a gang war. But what if I told you the truth is far darker than that? A night where 14 people were wounded and 2 never made it home. What you're about to see will change everything you thought you knew about this incident.
17-year-old Jeremiah Morris is unfortunately no longer with us. 43-year-old Shalonda Williams
When a crowd gathers for music, laughter, celebration, nobody expects it to become a battleground. But sometimes, violence hides in plain sight, waiting for a spark. The evening of October 4th, 2025, in Montgomery, Alabama, wasn't supposed to be marked by tragedy. A college football game, a city fair, lights, crowds, life buzzing. Downtown streets were full, people walking between bars, shops open late, families, teenagers. Crowds had descended for festivities tied to Tuskegee University versus Morehouse College football and the annual city fair. Then, at around 11:30 p.m., voices and cheers were cut short by sudden bursts of gunfire near Bibb Street and Commerce Street, less than a mile from the Alabama state capitol. What police later described as a shootout between rival gunmen erupted amid the crowd. One person was targeted, and when that first shot was fired, others in the crowd pulled out weapons and returned fire. Amid the chaos, 14 people were struck. 2 died. 12 others were wounded. The dead were identified as 17-year-old Jeremiah Morris and 43-year-old Shalonda Williams. Among the wounded, 7 were under the age of 20. The youngest, just 16. 5 of the injured were reported to have life-threatening wounds. In the first press conference,
Montgomery Police Chief James Grayboys called it a mass shooting,
emphasizing that the shooters did not care about the people around them. Police said multiple weapons were recovered and multiple calibers were used. They noted police units had been within 50 feet of the shooting when it occurred. Investigators believe the incident started with one individual being targeted, then escalated. For the families, the shock was deep. Imagine going out for a night of celebration, only to never return home. Jeremiah, only 17, had his life cut short mid-dream. Shalonda Williams, a mature adult, likely with family, ended up in a place she never expected. To see violence, 2 names, now etched in grief. 2 families, left with questions. As news spread, state leaders responded. Alabama Governor Kay Ivey vowed increased state intervention, saying public safety is paramount. Meanwhile, local officials and City Hall joined calls for calm, for cooperation, and for people to submit any video or detail they had. A reward was fed. Investigations from multiple agencies, city police, statewide departments, and federal partners began coordinating to sort through cameras, eyewitness accounts, and tip lines. But as hours passed, some complicated details emerged. Several witnesses described hearing multiple gunshots coming from different directions. That suggested more than a simple 2 gunman exchange, possibly crossfire or people responding in panic. Some said they saw flashlights or silhouettes near the fray, but in the confusion, many accounts conflicted. Surveillance footage from nearby buildings is being reviewed. Some cameras captured motion before, during, and after the shots. Officials have not released all footage publicly yet. Police urged the public, even the smallest clip matters. They requested people who were downtown that night to submit videos or photos. They stressed one thing: Many clips have been edited or cropped. Investigators need unedited originals with timestamps and metadata. One particularly haunting detail: Chief Grabois acknowledged that several victims were armed and some returned fire. That raises a complex question. In the frenzy, did some innocent people get mistaken as aggressors? Did people in the crowd reflexively shoot? It muddies the waters. When defense and attack blur, finding the first shot becomes harder. Despite all this, as of now, no arrests have been confirmed. Investigators say leads are being followed. Tips are being vetted. But the scene is complex. Multiple shooters, many witnesses, conflicting stories, and heavy public pressure. So where does that leave us? We have a timeline of shots fired, victims wounded, and a chaotic crowd caught in violence. We know the names of the dead: Jeremiah Morris and Shalonda Williams, lives of promise, stolen forever. We know the city demands answers. We know officials say they are working, but we don't know the motive. We don't know who pulled the trigger first. We don't know how many shooters were involved, or whether someone used the crowd as cover. That gap between what we know
and what we don't
is the heart of the case. It's where suspicion grows. It's where every video, every phone clip, every witness matters. In the next part, we'll dive into the most promising leads, surveillance angles, ballistic analysis, private interviews, and contradictions in statements. We'll show how the pieces might finally come together, or perhaps fracture. Under pressure, when night falls in a city, every shadow becomes a question. And for the people of Montgomery, that night left too many questions unanswered. When gunfire stops, the noise doesn't end. It just changes from screams to sirens to silence. And then, questions that never fade. The night of October 4th turned into the morning of October 5th, 2025, with Montgomery's downtown still glowing in red and blue. Shell casings lay scattered across the asphalt. Over 50 markers placed by investigators. Forensic teams moved carefully between puddles of blood, shattered glass, and overturned chairs. It wasn't a war zone, but it looked like one. 2 dead, 12 injured. And yet, by sunrise, no one was in custody. Montgomery police set up a command post immediately near Bibb and Commerce streets. They cordoned off the area, with yellow tape stretching nearly an entire city block. Detectives began pulling footage from every corner: storefront security cameras, traffic light systems, even footage from a nearby parking lot. Dozens of witnesses were interviewed on site, but their stories didn't align. Some described seeing a group of young men arguing moments before the shooting. Others said it looked like an ambush. Several witnesses said they heard 2 distinct bursts of fire, one rapid, another slower, like someone returning fire. That detail later matched with ballistic evidence. 2 different calibers of bullets were found at the scene, likely from 2 or more guns. Police also found discarded shell casings of both 9mm 40 caliber rounds. The working theory became clearer. It wasn't one shooter, it was multiple people, and at least one targeted attack that spiraled into chaos. Still, the exact number of gunmen remains uncertain. Chief Grabois told reporters, "We are confident multiple individuals discharged firearms, but the motive remains unclear." The 2 confirmed fatalities became the emotional center of this tragedy. Jeremiah Morris, 17 years old, described by classmates as soft-spoken but full of energy. He was a student, a local athlete, often seen helping his younger cousins with homework after school. He wasn't a gang member, not known to police, just a teenager who happened to be standing too close when the chaos began. Then there was Shalonda Williams, 43 years old, a mother, a regular at that downtown fair every year. Friends said she loved local events. She was the kind of woman who'd drag you out of the house to live a little. She wasn't involved in any argument. She was walking back toward her car when a stray bullet hit her chest. Paramedics tried to resuscitate her, but she was pronounced dead. On the scene, these weren't just names. They became symbols for many in Montgomery. Jeremiah represented the youth being lost to gunfire, and Shalonda represented innocents caught in the crossfire. 2 lives, 1 young, 1 grown, both gone.
In seconds.
Over the next 48 hours, more clues surfaced. Within 48 hours, police recovered multiple handguns. Some dropped in panic, some stolen. The ATF joined in, tracing serial numbers. At least 3 guns had been reported stolen months earlier from nearby counties. Ballistics told a deeper story. Bullets from 2 weapons didn't match any record in Alabama's database. Whoever fired them had clean hands or clean paperwork. Then came the videos. Clips surfaced online. Shaky, grainy cell footage. In one, a man in a white hoodie lifts his arm just before the first shot. Police requested originals for forensic analysis. Eyewitnesses described chaos. People running in every direction. Some thought fireworks had gone off. Others hid under vendor tents or behind trash bins. And what added to the confusion was what came after. Several witnesses said others pulled guns in self-defense, firing back when the first bullets flew. Police later confirmed it. Some individuals returned fire, in reaction, not aggression. That one fact complicated everything. Who was attacking and who was just trying to survive? By October 6th, investigators had over 200 video clips sent in by the public, but the footage was dark, crowded, chaotic. Analysts began syncing timestamps to create a composite timeline to reconstruct the exact 12 seconds between the first and last gunshots. Several persons of interest were identified, but names stayed confidential. Authorities raised the reward to $50,000 for any lead. Meanwhile, near Bibb Street, locals lit candles, placed flowers under lampposts, and wrote questions on posters. Who fired first? Why didn't anyone see it coming? When will it stop? Montgomery has seen violence before, but this one hit differently because it happened in the heart of the city. Bars, restaurants, the state capitol dome visible in the distance. Security footage from a restaurant showed people diving under tables, a glass wall shattering as bullets tore through. Seconds later, sirens overlapped, flashing lights washing the streets red and blue. Investigators begged the public, stop spreading unverified information. Every wrong name online takes time away from the real ones we're looking for. Behind the scenes, detectives were far from idle. Cell tower data was being analyzed, matching call activity to the moment of the shooting. Ballistics and DNA swabs from recovered guns were still in the lab, and yet 3 questions remained. Who was the target? Early clues suggested someone specific was being hunted, but no name was ever confirmed. For most people, October 4th ended when they went home. But for Montgomery, that night never really ended. So stay with us, because the story of Montgomery is far from over. Comment below next part if you want the continuation. And remember, the next thing you hear might just send chills down your spine.